Hey, this is Todd. It seems these days my cup runneth over with inspiration, so I'm back. As I'm recording this, the holiday season is in full swing.
Ho, ho, ho.
So the theme of this DM Tips video is, as a DM, be generous.
Be generous, Mr. Spade. You're brave. You're strong. You can spare me some of that courage and strength, surely.
What I'm referring to in this case is when it comes to rulings, when it comes to dealing with your players, act generously. The concept behind this video comes from yet another post that I read on Facebook, and this one was about a player that was frustrated, and maybe the whole table was frustrated about how their last session had run. And in this session, they had gotten into a combat, and this player was using polymorph to turn the guy they were, the monster they were fighting into different creatures in the hopes of making them easier to kill, not understanding that the way polymorph works, like wild shape, is you're going to go through that creature's hit points, then it is going to revert back to the original creature with some, blow over hit point damage. What ended up happening is they ended up going through several of these polymorphs, and the combat ended up taking up the entire session. It became a real drag. The player felt that the DM was out to get them, but they're not sort of interceding on their behalf on the spell, or by allowing them to cast the spell over and over again, or by not having it work a certain way. For whatever reason, the DM was not acting in the player's best interest. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Well, of course, this isn't true, and I think as a lot of people posted on Facebook, rightly so, hey, it's as the player, look, it's up to you to understand how your spells work. You're going to cast a spell, have spell cards, have your book out. When it's not your turn, you can flip through it, just read through it, make sure that it does what you want it to do. But of course, we're all human. We all misremember things. It's very easy to forget things about your spells or abilities, or you misremember them, and you tend to remember it more expansively than maybe it was originally. Now, from the DM standpoint, look, technically, were you correct in allowing the player to keep casting it and just letting them do that and playing with it? Yes, of course you were. However, if you see that your party, that your players clearly are working with a misconception in mind, why not? Yes, you could allow them to keep working on misconception because it's theirs and they're doing it and all that. Yes, fine. But use it as a learning opportunity. You can see they're working in a misconception. You can see that they don't have a clear understanding, or they misunderstand the spell. Take a time out and say, hey, look, I see what you're trying to do, but that's not what it does for X, Y, and Z. And maybe you could even give them a hint about how it might work in their favor. Hey, look, if you use polymorph on that creature and turn it into a shark, and you think it's going to die on land and be easy, that's not really how it's going to work. But this is what you could do and how it might be useful in another way, right? Or even if you don't want to do that, you don't want to give them hints, you don't want to help them, just say, hey, I don't think it's going to do what you want to do. Do you really want to do that? Let me tell you how it works. Now I'll give you a chance to change your mind. Obviously, we're humans. We're not mind readers. We're not betazoids. Star Trek reference there. We can't see what's in their brains. In this instance that was posted on Facebook, they went through 2 different polymorph cycles, which ended up making this one combat, according to the person who posted it, take the entire session. Just turn it into just a tremendous drag. Now, I get it. The first time they cast polymorph and it doesn't work out and they're not doing it, maybe you say, hey, I don't know how they're going to use it. Maybe they're going to use it to do something cool. I can't tell until after they've done it what they mean by it. Okay, fine. So that happens and they dealt with it. Now we get to the second time they cast polymorph. Why not just step in and say, okay, time out for a minute. Cast polymorph before it did this. I can see and I'm sure there's conversations going on where they're not in the dark, so that they can hear the player talking out what they mean to do. But in any case, you go, okay, time out. The first time you did polymorph, I wasn't sure what your intentions were, so we just let it go, and it worked like this. Now you're casting it again. Let me make sure you understand how it works. Why not do that? Is it absolutely your responsibility? Some might say yes. I bet you if you post it in some circles, some people are going to say yes. As a GM, you should make sure the players understand. I'm not that hardcore about it, but I think that maybe it's not that you absolutely must, but that you should. Be nice. Be generous. You know how it works. You can see they're going down a wrong path. Help them out. What harm does it do you? Because I've played in games where people have been super hardcore about you're responsible for yours and I'm responsible for mine, and that can work with the right table. That's fine. It's certainly not a wrong way to play. There's no wrong way to play. However, you are setting up an adversarial relationship, because if I was playing against you in a board game and I can see you doing something that's going to trap yourself or waste your resources or do something and not do what you want it to do, yeah, then I'm thinking to myself, ooh, look what they're doing. They're going to mess up, and that's going to give me the opening that I need. Ha ha! The game is mine, Trebek.
My day has come.
Well, you're the GM. You're not their adversary. You're working together. I always like to think of the GM as the referee. And as such, I'm impartial. If you're a referee and you're watching two people play the game and clearly player A is not understanding what's going on, to me, it's totally fine in a good sportsmanship, particularly as the referee, to go in and make sure that player understands the rules of what they're doing. By the same token, help your players out. Be nice. Be generous. Don't be looking for them to fail, because they'll do enough of that on their own. They're going to fail up and down, left and right. If you see them struggling with a rule or misunderstanding with something that you know is going to bite them in the butt, let them know. Let them change their tactic. And by the way, by not doing it, all you did was waste a whole session on this one combat, which took way too long. One or more players were super frustrated, and now they think that you're out to get them. Was that worth it? Was it worth standing on this high ground of you need to know your spells, Mr. Spellcaster? Haha, I'm not going to help you kind of thing? No. You knew what was going on. Just say, hey, man, before you waste that spell slot on there, let me tell you how this is going to go. So rethink about it, or think of some different options, or I'll give you a hint. Anyhow, it's the holiday season. It's Christmas time. Be nice. Be generous. Game on. Talk to you later.